up. I get it.
Hi, stylists. Welcome to another episode of the Stylistpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Damali Fils, and today we have with us Shanalie. She is a content strategy director with Boulevard. She specializes in crafting compelling narratives for luxury brands and high-end small businesses in the beauty business. Shanalie works with hundreds of salon owners, managers, and stylists every day, with even top-end companies such as Tony and Guy and Heydo. Shanalie, come on in the room. How are you?
Damali, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
I am so excited to have you. Like, once I got this connection, I was like, ooh, we're going to talk about something so juicy, which is pricing, which I feel like everybody on social media is like, how do I do it? Like, what do I charge? Like, all that good stuff. But before we get into it, will you give us like a briefing of your background, how you got into the beauty industry, like all that good stuff?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, it's funny enough. I ended up in the content strategy role because I loved amplifying our voices in this industry,
Mm,
right? There's so many amazing stories, and I feel like there wasn't a great way for us to get some of these messages out. Like people are
right.
living incredible lives through this industry. And if you go
Hmm.
on Google, you can't really like see some of that, right?
No.
So that's how I ended up, in that. But what really drove me here was I'm one of you guys, right? So I actually
Right.
started off at the front desk. It was always my go-to position. Like, and some folks went and got like a job at the coffee shop or waiting tables. I
Hmm.
was like, hair salons are my thing. So I started off
Right.
at that front desk, eventually worked my way up into management, and at the same time went to beauty school, but really fell in love with the business side of things. I
Okay.
really working with people, coaching people, helping them get to that six-figure number, all of that great stuff. So really fell in love with like the mentor side of things. We have such a
Okay.
beautiful education program in most of these industries, right? So there's a lot of what feels like this like lineage of education. So I really fell in love
Okay.
with the management. Eventually, I found Boulevard and found them as a customer and started using them in the multi-location businesses that I was working with.
Okay.
Fell in love with those guys too. Had to join them
Right.
eventually. So now I'm here working with, like as you said, hundreds of salon owners. So I
Mhm.
get to work with, more than I can even imagine, where we're helping their businesses deliver great client experiences, and even getting to talk about interesting stories like this, like increasing pricing and
Mhm.
all of that great stuff. So it's been an incredible journy, but I've loved every minute of it.
Right. And one thing that we have in common is that we're both graduates of Paul Mitchell. So I love that.
I saw my t-shirt from class.
Right? I
Thank you.
love that. Yeah, even with this podcast, like, although like I still work behind the chair, like, maybe twice a week, like I still love the business side of the beauty industry. And I feel like that's where we really need attention to. Because like we can all style some hair. We can blow dry, we can put extensions in, color, but it's like, what about the business side? What about growing your business? And I think that's why there's been such an uproar on social media as far as like people saying stylists are charging too much or stylists trying to figure out how much to charge. So, like, let's get into it. When salons are thinking about pricing, what are some things that they need to consider?
Absolutely. So, I'm going to start off with the very, very obvious stuff. We
Okay.
know what it's like to live life, right? Everything goes up from your
Mhm.
rent to your
Exactly.
car, gas, right? Gas has been astronomical.
Yeah.
So, those are very obvious expenses that go up that we also need to accommodate for. And then
Hmm.
some stuff that people might not be thinking about is, and people always look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but being 100% booked is not sustainable. So, if
No.
you're aiming to have your book's 100% slammed and you're just knocking it out, I think in some place when you think about your ego, it's like, oh my God, I'm like so sought after. Like, yes, like
Right.
there's you that like appreciates that, but like 100% book means you're missing your son's, soccer game, or you're
Exactly.
gonna not be available for those birthday parties on a weekend, or whatever it is, or you're going through craziness before you decide to take a vacation because now you're overbooked.
Exactly.
None like we can't do that anymore, because at the end of the day we're working a physical job. Yes, it's
Hmm.
artistic, but you're on your feet, you got your arms up, you're around chemicals. There's only so much like one person can give, right? And then you have a team
Exactly.
of folks, doing this across a whole business. So we want to create sustainable environments, businesses
Mhm.
that can live on and on, where eventually you can drop down a few days and not have to
Right.
work days a week. You're looking at a 3, 4 day schedule, like something
Mhm.
that's productive for life generally and not just a business. And
Exactly.
what also happens with some of these pricing increases, so let's say, Damali, like you get to a point where your a client now gets priced out, they can no longer afford you.
Mhm.
We have opportunity with that client to now stimulate a junior staff member of,
Mhm.
hey, start this new relationship, right? Those are really important relationships to
Right.
also nurture within your business. Like we can't, especially as an owner, can't hoard all the clients. We need to
Right.
grow our teams, because one day an owner should also have the luxury of maybe just being an owner, maybe not
Right.
even behind there anymore. So that's where these become really important opportunities, where it's not just about like, hey, my color's more expensive now. This is how
Right.
I create a sustainable business that can grow.
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. And there's one thing that you mentioned. And so I've worked with $200,000 stylists that honestly could be making more, but they were afraid because of those clients that were being priced out. What do you say to those stylists that are afraid to lose that clientele, afraid to raise those prices, pretty much just afraid to change their businesses and put themselves first?
Absolutely. So first thing first, that is natural. There
Hmm.
are going to be some clients that fall off, right?
Right.
There's unavoidable. You can't necessarily spend your clients your money for them, right? So
Right.
don't decide that they can't afford you. That's not fair either,
Hmm.
right? If you are sticking by an excellent client service, you should be able to show the value in your entire
Hmm.
experience, right? So it doesn't
Right.
matter how much you're increasing. One thing I've seen with stylists that are charging top dollar, it does not matter exactly what that price is. Clients
Okay.
will be willing to pay
Yeah.
if your client experience matches what they're
Mm.
getting. Right? And that's the entire journey. So I think people focus really on like, oh, I do an excellent haircut. Like nobody finishes that
Right.
hair like I do, which I'm sure they do an excellent service, but it's so hard to book with you. I have
Right.
to sit on hold for like 10 minutes. I can't just jump online and do
Exactly.
it. I'm like shooting you a text, you don't get back till the end of the day, whatever it is, right? There's
Right.
all of nuisances that happen along the way that make it difficult for me to either get on your book. Maybe when I'm in your building, it's jam packed and there you don't have a comfortable space for me to
Right.
lounge and hang out. You don't have accommodating staff members. Maybe the front desk like, isn't available to accommodate me. Whatever it may be, there might be
Exactly.
all of these things that happen that make it difficult. So we need to zoom out and take a look
Mhm.
at our whole client journey, from the time that they think about like, hey, I need to go see Damali, get my
Right.
hair done, from booking that appointment to the emails I get to how I confirm to any information you need from me coming in, all the way to the actual welcome of the appointment, how I'm
Mhm.
greeted, the full shebang, right?
Right.
All of that to be just so effortless, because that's what people are buying into. Like I've seen people who get like okay
Right.
haircuts and have this like incredible service that is like so fulfilling to them, and they're like paying crazy amounts to be able
Right.
to do that. So that's what people are really buying into. It's not just how well you can actually knock out that service, it's
Exactly.
the whole thing.
No, it's definitely a complete thing when you're looking at the pricing, when you're looking at what you're offering your client, and maybe there's someone that's just like, you know what, I don't want to offer all that. And it's like your prices will reflect that. So if you are looking to get the high-end clients, you need a high-end space to back up your high-end prices, right? Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And listen, I think when we started using the words high end, I think folks immediately think like, oh, it's going to be snooty. It's going to be,
Right.
they're going to be pretentious, right?
Mhm.
And I've never worked in a business that was like that, incredibly inclusive. You saw every different type of person, from like moms to like
Right.
to like families, like whoever, right? Where everyone was coming in, we created a space that was welcoming. So it's about creating an environment that is fulfilling to everyone there, from
Mhm.
the people who work there to the people coming in. If they feel more stressed out coming to your business,
Right?
they're not gonna
No.
want to repeat that. Right? We're
No.
trying to escape like our stresses, like leave the stress at
Exactly.
the work. Right. So
Right.
I will, so if the business I know that I'm getting all this like relief from, I look amazing, they make me feel good. I have my like glass of champagne while I'm there, whatever it is, right?
Right.
If I know they're raising their prices, I'm probably not going to bat an eye at it because I receive so much from that. It's so important to me. So that's where you really need to focus on winning. And then at that point, the little dollars where you do see that going up don't become as important if they are
Right.
getting experience that they feel like they're being promised.
Right. So now, how often would you say like a salon owner or a stylist should really like look into the numbers and figure out, do I need to make any adjustments? Do I need to
Mhm.
change my pricing? Like, where's that timeline? And how do they know when to do that?
That's a great question. So the funny thing is, if you are paying attention to your data
Mhm.
consistently, it will start to tell you a story and it will
Okay.
probably push you into that, right? So the only way like your business can grow and get more people within it is if there's actual space on your calendar to do so.
Mm,
So I like to actually like look at the data to tell me that story. I think people are so quick to be like, "Oh my God, like we had an expense go up, so let's raise the prices." And it's
right.
just that's not how we do it. That's how we
No.
lose clients. That's how we confuse staff
Exactly.
members, right? So actually what we look for is strong revenue, strong average tickets, you
Okay.
high utilization. So that means we're pretty booked up. There isn't a lot of open space on the calendar. We look for strong retention. And
Okay.
these two aren't metrics, but these absolutely need to be in place to make this go as easy as possible. And that's strong marketing
Mm,
and strong team training that includes conflict resolution, right? So if somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I can't get behind this price increase of yours, or I don't believe
okay.
in this. This person knows how to untangle this conversation. They know how to show value in the service that they have received and why all of these things break down the way that they do. So that's a really important piece because that conflict resolution training is going to come up all over. Because if you think about a client complaining about, you took my hair too light, you made it too short. Like these are the types of conversations our folks behind the chair have all the time. So the staff training around any kind of change, especially pricing, is going to
Okay.
be incredibly important. So while not metrics, the marketing and the team training, a must.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And so when we,
So
I'm sorry. I'll
no,
let
go ahead,
you
go ahead.
finish. So now I just want to know, so when you are saying, okay, next month we're going to decide that we're going to increase the prices, can you walk us through those stages, that process? Like what things are we implementing? What are we telling the clients? That way we can raise those prices.
Absolutely. So the first thing I would do once you realized the amount that you need, the changes you're going to make, and you've figured out all of that through your data is number one.
Okay.
Next will be outlining in detail your communication
Mm,
strategy,
okay.
right? So we are going to communicate as much as we can for
Okay.
as long as we can. I would look at rolling this process out over a 6, even 8 week like turnaround,
Okay.
really mindful because let's face it, like you might see a client maybe once in that 8 week period because
Hmm.
they're coming in for a haircut, maybe they're getting their hair colored. People aren't there every week, right? So
Right.
it's important that we are casting that net wide enough that we are getting that information out. So this is going to look like, just like I said, the team training, some conflict resolution. First start with
Okay.
your team members. They're going to have potentially some emotions about it or some opinions. It's important that
Hmm.
you receive that information and have those conversations
Okay.
because if you have a team member that isn't bought in, it's going to be harder to get their clients also bought into
Right.
that. So start with your team and make sure they're ready for that change. From there, you can start with signage and emails and text
Okay.
messages and any form of communication that works for your business, but
Okay.
really get that out there so there aren't any surprises and be prepared to have those conversations
Okay.
one-on-ones with loyal clients that are like, hey, like, maybe I can't afford this right now, or I can't,
Right.
like, we have this. And depending on who that client is to you, you are well within your rights to say, you know what, we're going to keep them here. They've been super loyal to us. Shanalie has sent us like 10 people last year. Let's leave her where she is. Like, I don't want to
Okay.
raise. You're still allowed to do these things. That's the
Okay.
beauty. These are your relationships. You don't have to be so like iron fist about it. If there are folks that you feel like have taken care of you in your business, take care of them too, if that's what you feel like is necessary and important for you in maintaining that. But be ready to answer those questions more than anything.
Okay.
And I think one thing that's really important, and sometimes folks I think get a little shy about, is being transparent that, the
Mm-hmm.
cost of doing business is increasing.
Right?
We see it everywhere. We see it everywhere. And, I think most people would want to support their local business that is going up, that they frequent often. And we're already blindly dealing with increases from, the big guys, like everything's gone up from coffee to groceries to all of it, right?
Exactly.
So, we want to see our local businesses win too. And if you are nailing it with the client experience and these folks are being retained and are happy, they're going to want you to win as well.
Gotcha. Now, what are we doing about those clients that are just like giving pushback? They're not wanting to understand. They're like, I'm just going to go somewhere else. Or like you said, there are also those clients that maybe your grandfather in, but there's always going to be that one. What are we doing about that one?
Absolutely. Well, you have to face the hard truth. Is this that moment where you let this annoying client go?
Right?
You So I know, if we're looking at the bigger picture, the lifetime value of a client is very important. But I remember when I was early in my management days, someone told me this saying that was like, 90% of your clients will be lovely and be happy and just so easy to
Yes.
deal with. 10% will be very difficult, and that 10% will take up 90% of your time,
Right?
right? So, you have to face the hard truths. Like, can I let this client go? Or can I be prepared to introduce them to a new staff member that has
Mhm.
more affordable pricing, that has similar training, that can be a good personality fit? Have your backups ready. Be
Right.
ready to share that to your neighbor who maybe is a few bucks cheaper than you and can still meet that client's needs. That's really important. Now, if they're so fed up where they want to leave the business, that's where you start to use your best judgment. If
Right.
the client's someone worth keeping, reason with them.
Right.
But if they're not, and the chances
No.
are, if they're getting to the point where they're like, I'm out of here, they're probably not that client that you want around,
Exactly.
So let them go. Don't be afraid to let these folks go. Your numbers should be doing better with all the clients you retained. You will be making more simply
Hmm.
from that. So that's the hard truth. Be ready to lose some folks in any type of price increase because that's by nature how it's
Right.
designed. You need that space in your book to get some new folks in that'll happily pay your price without any issue.
Exactly. Like you're literally just making more room for the clients that believe in your value, the clients that are just like, you know what? I understand prices are going up. This is your livelihood. Like I would say you want the clients that believe in you and not the clients that are just like going to fight you. Like I don't want that 10%, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It comes at a price, like
Right.
a emotional one. So
It does.
yeah, be careful what you discount trying to keep. If it's not the energy
Exactly.
you want around, please don't do it. It's not worth
Exactly.
it.
So, Shanalie, what challenges would you say that salon owners are seeing once they do decide to raise those prices, and how are they able to overcome those challenges?
So I think the main challenge that people see sometimes when raising prices is doing it a little too quickly and not really
Mm,
letting the data do the work. They
okay.
feel overwhelmed by prices going up and they know they need to make that money back somewhere and they'll increase their prices.
Mhm.
But maybe they didn't have like a healthy flow of clients coming in or their average tickets were really low. There were other issues within the business. Sometimes I see folks reach for the pricing increase when they
Mhm.
should be reaching for tools like marketing, where
Mm,
they actually need some more business coming in the doors. And this
right,
isn't just about raising prices. So it's really important that people focus in on that data. Let it tell a story. If you're, not busting at the seams with clients coming in and the numbers are looking good, not time to raise prices. You may
right.
need to start looking at doing some automated marketing. Like you should be working with some technology that can get some marketing out there, get some emails going, get some text messaging going, and get some clients coming in the door. You should be marketing to your own consistent client base, and you should also be doing things on social media and getting your name out and all
Mhm.
of that good stuff. But it might be a marketing problem and not actually a
Mm.
price increase. So really look at that data. And at that point, as a salon manager, I'm not asking, or an owner, I'm not asking you to turn into this expert marketer. Like you should be
Okay.
working with a tool that does it for you. Like I could not tell you how I would even begin to do like some sort of drip campaign to market on a
Right.
slow or anything like that. Like you need a tool to do that. So it's really important that people have those systems in place to drive some of that revenue so they
Hmm.
don't get caught in that where it's like, oh my gosh, I think I need to raise prices, but we barely have any clients coming in the door.
Right.
So it's important to identify what the issue is.
Okay. So speaking of tools, how would you say that clients would be able to use or salon owners be able to use Boulevard in order to implement and manage these price increases?
That's a great question. So Boulevard has so many amazing tools to make communication with your client super easy.
Okay.
From, getting like very serious on the marketing side, it can do all of that great automated marketing. And what's incredible for any owner that, let's say, like the one I described, where they're a little price sensitive because they haven't had a lot of clients coming in, with the automated marketings on Boulevard, we're paying for the performance of it. So when I
Okay.
get an booked, that's when I'm actually like paying. So that for me, is incredible for any of these owners trying to drum up some revenue there. Now, all you have to do is, set up your templates, make it beautiful and branded, and it's very simple to use it. And then from there, it does like all of the magic in the background.
Okay.
So there's tools like that to be able to market yourself all the way to a simple communication. I need to let every single client know that I'm having a price increase and this is
Hmm.
the date it's going into effect, along with text and all of that great stuff. So
Okay.
there are a lot of tools where I could easily do that. And then there's some record of it where I know when these emails went out and when people were notified and all of that good
Hmm.
stuff. So you're able to notate that. Client profiles can also be such a game changer when it comes
Hmm.
to updating important information, because we can also have pricing increases, of course, across a whole salon. But what about when somebody kind of graduates? They're going up in
Right.
price individually. You want to be able to handle those clients specifically as well. So tools in Boulevard make it very easy to communicate with all of your clients, a specific set of clients, really you
Okay.
name it. Yeah, and beyond that, you want to work with some sort of tool that makes your life easier. So
Exactly.
from the way it books online to having tools like, our marketing suite, and even Offset, which helps with our credit card fees. I know that's like a
Mm.
big thing for
Yeah.
everyone. Who doesn't want to save a little money on that? It's a healthier profit margin if you're able to, offset some of those costs there. So there's a lot of tools here. My advice for someone who's looking for some sort of platform,
Hmm.
look for something that aligns with your values. And I know for
Okay.
me, when I was a customer, Boulevard was that. They care so much about the client experience and my own personal
Hmm.
experience that it just made sense for our business, and it made me feel like I had like an extra team member just like working the books and like getting
Right.
people in and doing that so I could actually focus on the people. So that was the
Exactly.
the biggest thing for me. Like I didn't have to think about it anymore.
Hmm. Which I think is wild because I worked with stylists before and they're just like, I prefer to do it old school and not necessarily pay for these additional tools. But I'm just like, you have to like make those tools work for you to make your life easier, so that you can get those clients in, so that you can really work on your craft. But not everybody sees it that way. But I will say that the tools is what makes your business and what would allow you to have the growth and allow you to ultimately raise those prices, right?
Absolutely. It pays for itself in the end if
Exactly.
so the thing is with clients these days, they're just like us. You have
Mhm.
to meet them where they're at. Like I know at some point this weekend, like I was on my Instagram. That's a great place to pick me up as a client and get me to book an
Right?
appointment. So it's really important that with those tools are there. It's not just about like spending on money, all this money on stuff that isn't going to work for me. Like we're 2024 now. There's
Hmm.
so much out there that you should be able to find something that aligns with who you are and helps you make money. This isn't just about
Hmm.
being able to like book an appointment online anymore. It's about how am I going to really set my business apart, make it easier, and make more money along the way. So I challenge everyone to really step it up with some of those tools and challenge those other companies where it's like, how are you helping me better my business? Hold
Right.
them to those values.
Yes. So I'm sure you would agree, but another great tool would be education. How important would you say continuous education is when you are looking at managing your business and pricing your strategies?
So education is part of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can't communicate enough and you can't like educate enough when it comes
Right.
to this. And I think that's something beautiful that like we all do share. I think, most salons have some sort of program where they're training folks, they're trying to teach everyone. So education around even our platform is incredibly like important and valuable. We have like a full academy for people to learn how to use the tool,
Wow.
apply it well, because we also didn't want to put another task on a super busy salon manager to like learn it themselves and then have to teach
Right.
everyone to like help out, right? And create those tools. But education is where people can start to charge more money,
Hmm.
right? They can raise their prices, do all of that great stuff because now they're up leveling. What
Hmm.
I did 10 years ago, starting out like as a manager, more than that even now, like to what I have to do today to help a service provider,
Hmm.
completely different. When I started my career, they used to tell folks like, "Oh, head down to the coffee shop and pass out your cards." Like people would
Right.
think I'm crazy if I went out and was like, they're like, "I saw Shanalie like in the shopping center passing stuff
Right.
out. Like what's going on?"
Right.
So this now it's all like social media and we're doing things. So things are always changing and we cannot get left behind. You always see
Hmm.
it where there's like a business that just did not evolve along with the times and you can't get stuck there. And
Right.
this is about like breaking your foundation or changing everything about yourselves. It's about increasing your knowledge and knowing what's out there and then adopting what works for you and your business and your clientele. So you don't need to constantly reinvent the wheel. You just need to know what's going on.
Right. I mean, even for me, and I would say that I'm about 20 years in, like I still attend classes. Just recently I got a certification for, Mazzani haircut for a curly haircut. So that way I'm just like, you know what? I'm an expert in this. This is why I charge this price. So you definitely need that education to back up, your why. Why am I charging this much? Or why does my haircut cost that much? It's because I'm certified, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's something really powerful about taking a step back because when you're behind the chair and you're with your clients, you're the boss, you're in charge,
Hmm.
right? But when you get back in that environment, you're a student again, right? You're like different lens. Like, let me take a minute, let me really take my time with this. Hey, we we get in that rhythm when we're doing our clients. So it's nice to remove yourself from that environment and go take a step back and take it all in again as a learner. So
Hmm.
good for you for doing that. Like everyone's got to do it. It's really, really
Right.
important to keep us
Yeah, and
going
I
here
think
as
it's just important to be up to date with what you're doing. That's another selling point with your clients because they're just like, if you're doing a haircut from like 20 years ago, like you should be
yeah.
charging the price of 20 years ago, right?
That's so true. That's so true. And here's the thing, clients, they might as well be like hairdressers now. They're like
Yes,
just as savvy as we are. Everything's on the internet. They
yes,
expect a lot more from us, right? They want us to know, they want us to be the experts
that's true.
and really like the hair doctors that, they want us to know everything when they're coming in because they've done their research. The
Exactly.
clients are well researched. So don't get caught, that's the thing. You got to keep up with them. Otherwise, they will find someone else that meets those needs. So it's really important to keep up with the times for sure.
It is important. And speaking of the times, like if we're looking into the future, are there any emerging trends that salon owners need to know about when they are, raising their prices or adjusting them?
Absolutely. So something that I've been, and this is like a painful one for me because I grew up on like the front desk, right? So
Hmm.
I think over time we're going to see less and less like front desks, right? And what that means is I don't think the individuals will totally disappear. I think we'll have
Okay.
people within the salon as like supporting staff to make sure the
Okay.
day is going smooth, right? Whether it's a greeter, somebody to make sure the drinks are happening, that people know that clients arrived, all of that, maybe helping with shopping experiences, that type of thing. But I think the days of walking into a busy salon with like three people on the phone, like barely paying attention to you and things
Right.
like that, I think all of that is going away. I think it turns into this concierge like experience where people walk in, you're greeted, eye contact, it's just you and this person, and there isn't this chaos of like phones blaring
Right.
and all. I think our industry will see more tools in place that will allow us to book the way that, a person would book us without
Okay.
having to worry about the ins and outs of like, oh, Shanalie needs a 2 hour haircut and things like that. Like there will be tools that allow us to do that. Like it's really important that we can move our teams away from just like this phone thing because we can actually focus on the people then. And
Okay.
we know once we elevate that type of experience, it allows us to make more money once that person
Mm.
is actually there. They're going to want to spend more. We're catering to them and we're making that experience even better. So I do think we're going to see some shifts there where it's going to be less of that like front desk experience. I think
Okay.
more roles like that will help like elevate a lot of these businesses, It's going to
Okay.
be a good one.
I love that. So Shanali, you've given so many great tips, just, with this podcast today, and listeners are going to listen to it, but I want to make sure that they're actually putting these things that you said into place. What are some actionable steps that they can take in order to raise their prices, make it comfortable for their clients, and still be able to have a successful beauty business?
Yeah, great question. So the way I like to remember it, and this is how I started in management, someone shared this with me. It's
Okay.
really simple. There's only three ways to increase your revenue. You can
Mm.
increase your number of clients, you can increase their number of visits or services, right? Looking at your tickets, or you can increase your pricing.
Mm.
So, whatever you do, it's going to fall into one of those buckets.
Okay.
Now, however you go about that, you have to remember to analyze your data,
Okay.
audit your client experience, and develop communication plans because there's going to be a wide variety of promotions and maybe memberships and services and all
Hmm.
of these things that all of these amazing creative people in our industry are going to come up with. But if
Okay.
there's three things that they always do with it, I would say analyze that data, audit your client experience, make sure your client experience is being upheld through all of these new services and experience, whatever it is, and then develop a very cut and dry, clear
Hmm.
communication plan with your team and clients. Get the word out, right? So, like I've seen, I think everything under the sun when it comes to strategies, but the
Hmm.
most successful ones always have those in common.
Wow. I love that. So I know we've been talking a lot about like the salon, this perspective from the salon owner, the stylist, but what about the clients? I've seen this thing on social media where clients are saying we're paying for a hairstyle's lifestyle. Like, how do we take that pressure off of ourselves and not let that affect us with our pricing strategy? Because clients are thinking like stylists are just charging me these prices so they can live a certain lifestyle.
That's a really interesting one because I think, and it's funny you bring that up because I was just thinking, oh my gosh, those days are done, right? The
Right?
days like I'm going to this celebrity hairdresser because they do all these celebs, and then the whole time I'm there, like trying to like get in where I fit in, right?
Right?
That's all going away. Yeah,
Okay.
when your client comes in, they are the celebrity, they are the
Mm.
star. I have tons of folks that I've worked with over the years, and they have done everyone under the sun, every celebrity that you can think of. But when
Mhm.
you are there in that moment with them, it's like you're their only client ever, right? They're your
Mhm.
personal stylist. So it's really important, again, bringing it back to that client experience. Like it's
Mhm.
how make them feel in the chair,
Gotcha.
regardless of what they're seeing online and whatnot. Like if I know I come in and I am completely validated in that experience, this person remembers me, they know what I'm going through, we have great conversation,
Mhm.
there is an emotional connection along with the physical
Right.
experience of that service, then I'm not going to bat an eye at that. I'm going to be like, go ahead, girl, like live that
Right.
life. You are really doing it. Like, I love the experience I have with you. Most of your clients will want you to win in that regard if you
Exactly.
meet all of their needs. If you're running late for them, if you're always like butting their appointments around because you're trying to get in
Right.
this important person, that will be felt. And that's when they're like, you know what? I'm paying for this person's lifestyle, and they're only getting those celebrity
Mhm.
clients because I've been so loyal to them. That's when
Right.
they feel like that. But if, you treat every client like a celebrity and you do your service so well, that's actually why people come to you, is because of the client experience. Like that's how
Mhm.
people actually become celebrity hairdressers or super sought out
Mm.
been, the six-figure number that everybody wants. It's by
Exactly.
to that client experience and being able to replicate that every time.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. I love that. So, Shanalie, there's the one question I ask every guest, and that is, what is your superpower as an entrepreneur in the beauty business?
Okay, so I love this question.
Right.
I've listened to your podcast before, and there's always such amazing answers. So my biggest thing, in a nutshell, I love being like a cheerleader, an advocate for
Mm,
this industry. So I said at the start of this call, I love amplifying our voices. There are
okay.
so many incredible stories about how, we've changed lives. People have experienced financial freedom. They've escaped so many different things. They've used it to build beautiful lives. And I
Mhm.
love sharing that and amplifying that. So, the beautiful thing about my role here at Boulevard is I get to put everyone on a pedestal and share all of that
I love
incredible
it.
stuff through our incredible blogs and guides, and we have some incredible video that our company does as well, amplifying some of these voices. So
Mhm.
please check it out. There's some
Okay.
incredible stories of our customers and how they got to where they be. But I love this industry because it is a home to so many of us that are just like all walks of life. So the more I can shine a light on it. So
Right.
cheerleader, spotlight person, whatever you
Right.
want to call it. But anyways, I can get our voices out there. That's what I'm aiming for.
Well, I would say that's an amazing superpower just because this is an industry where a lot of family members, friends, and spouses don't necessarily believe in when you're saying, I'm going to be a beauty professional. I'm going to do hair or makeup, for a living. And they're just like, are you going to make money? How is that going to be sustainable? So to have someone like you cheering us on, I'll say thank you because that's amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. No,
Right.
I've experienced that too. I think there's so many misconceptions. I remember meeting someone and then saying like, "Oh, like you're so smart. Like, why are you working at a hair salon?" And then I told them like, "Well, that hair salon did $5 million this year."
Exactly.
And they were like, "What?
Exactly.
Like, that's more than what my business is doing, right?" So there's a lot of misconceptions. So if there's one thing I want to do is just like clear it up for people and let them know this is an incredible career and we get to have so
Exactly.
much fun doing it. Like are you
Exactly.
joking me? We're having a
Right.
great time while being really successful. So we got to get the message out. So
That is so true. So I want to make sure that everyone is going to be able to stay connected with you, learn more about Boulevard and all the amazing things that you're doing. Where can they do that at?
yeah, so please go to joinboulevard.com. That's joinblvd.com and check us out on social as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for your time. This was an amazing conversation. We're forever connected now. So thank you so much.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Have an amazing day.
You too.